what I take from this story really is Center Court and Maud and anybody else is basically sending a giant bazooka warning shot and saying, like, figure out how to close or we're going to destroy your life, basically.
You saw the Toronto Star article I sent you, Darryl?
No, like I'm the only person who didn't see that. I got
No,
sent that article by 8,000 people this
I
week.
sent it to you
Everybody's
first, though,
making
right?
videos.
I sent it first, right?
You sent it first.
Okay.
But
All right, just making sure.
I think Mark Mitchell made a video. I'm sure, Flynn made a video. Everybody's making a video. The $860,000 lawsuit.
Right.
Full
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
Full price.
Full, not, yeah, more than
What
full
are the
price.
damages? If they haven't sold it yet, how do they know what their damages are? They can just sue them for the whole amount of money?
You can sue anybody for anything. What are you talking
Crazy. You
about?
don't
They
know
could have
what's
sued for a
damages.
bucket of fried chicken.
What happens if they
on
sell it
top
for
of
$1 million? They made money.
Yeah.
I mean, that story
Drop the
was
suit.
the epitome of what's going on right at the moment, I think, or what you guys have been talking about for a year, the writing on the wall. And I suppose it'll be a case study in a sense. I mean, but if it's the building I'm thinking of that was highlighted with the huge loss, that was at Bathurst and Egg, I think, right? And I mean, beautiful building. To me, I look at stuff like that and it's like, let the market set the price and there'll just be eventually a lot of stability. Like, who doesn't want to live there? It's a nice building. If you overpaid, you overpaid, but the market resets. Easy for me to say because I didn't take the massive hit on
Right.
it. But
yeah.
but I mean, look, if you bought I don't know what's gone up and down, Tesla at the peak and with a lot of your nest egg, which certainly isn't inconceivable, and it crashed. How's it different? Or if you bought Bitcoin and
Well, you can't
crashed,
sue. You can't sue Tesla. But the thing here is, I think what I take from this story really is Center Court and Maud and anybody else is basically sending a giant bazooka warning shot and saying, like you figure out how to close or we're going to destroy your life, basically.
24% interest.
They're enforcing their rights. I'm not in their shoes, but if I was, would I do the same? I think they have every right to enforce their rights. As a developer, and Darryl, this, like, these are things you want to mitigate against. And, this is why you take a big deposit and the structure, the unique structure of the Toronto precon market affords a developer that sort of level of comfort and safety, and by extension, the lender, the comfort to fund a project. I remember, I'll tell you guys, I was in New York, I was at NYU, and I had a friend who was part of a very big real estate dynasty in Toronto, let's just say, or in Canada. And they were selling condos, precon on the lakeshore in Bathurst area. And back in 2000 or whatever that was, it was just a wasteland, right? You had the CNE and Ontario Place, and that was it. There were condos. And he was telling me how many they were selling. And who the fuck wants to live out there? Who's buying out there? Because there really wasn't King West or any of that. He goes, you don't understand. There's investors offshore. They're just gobbling them up by the bucket. And, sure enough, it's what happened. And that continued for how many decades, right? And never made a lot of sense to me, but that was the model. And then eventually, you can't beat him, join him, in the sense that, we got into it and it made sense. And it gives developers that level of comfort. And, because otherwise you end up with, the New York model or the Miami model where you're on spec, you're building an entire 200 unit building on spec. Maybe you sell a few along the way, but people don't want, even the concept. You're telling me I'm paying $1 million, $1.5 million for something, and I can't see it.
Can't see it. And I can't tell you when it's going to be finished either.
Or when
by
it's
the way,
finished.
If it gets done.
If
we got to have a clause that says it may not get done. Sorry.
Right. I mean, the renderings are nice, but the videos are pretty cool. But, like, what's my view? I don't know. It's actually pretty amusing, and Toronto is unique that way. And frankly, I think when you look at the spillover effects on the market and the industry, how could that be a negative, right? Like, if it's a negative for anyone, it's negative for me because half those units are conservatively or competition for me. Because if we didn't have a giant condo boom, you'd have higher rents, and yeah, you'd have a few new apartment buildings. But again, I don't think Toronto, Canada is generated enough high-paying jobs that can afford that average rental rate required to generate a return on a rental building. I mean, when you look at that slow creep in our GDP per capita and the standard of living in Canada under Trudeau, that has deteriorated over the last 10 years. And, I mean, I think the federal government should have some responsibility. It's just not, they're just not generating enough high paying jobs for it. And, when I hear housing affordability, housing crisis, in my mind, it's the flip side. It's like, yeah, housing's expensive, but we're not generating enough employment income to justify, the cost of housing. And that's, an industry fault and the government incentives and everything else. So, but,
we should probably have another 4 years of Liberals
right. I mean, the new
to
guy
fix the problem, right?
Right. The older version of Trudeau, who's, a little more quiet and circumspect, but
a little more evil. Yeah.
He could be.
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.